Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. I recently saw this report from Pulsar, the audience intelligence company that helps organizations understand their audiences by combining conversational and behavioral data from the world's leading digital sources. I just wanted to go through it as it gives us a really good insight and illustration to how consumers are viewing the EV industry. From just only 1 year ago, it would appear that search traffic for EVs has pretty much tripled over that period alone. This could be interpreted as demand has increased threefold from a year ago, 3 times as many searches. This is absolutely huge, and it appears to have increased at even further rate again over social media. Now, this is EVs in general, not just Tesla, but we all know that Tesla is synonymous with EVs. Electric vehicles have now surpassed recycling as a topic, comparing 388,000 mentions of recycling to 608,000 mentions of EVs in March 2021 alone. The report is also able to look into what people are actually thinking about when they're mentioning EVs. The number one item is environmental, at 41%, but catching up to it after that at a close behind is charging infrastructure at 34%. This is incredible intel. In other words, charging infrastructure would appear to be the most important factor when it comes to consumers' preference for an EV, and I think we all know who has the best charging network. Investment is 19% after that, meaning a lot of people are clearly identifying it as a future and looking to invest. Now, the next one is my favorite graph. What are the biggest factors when people are discussing electric cars? As in, what do consumers look for the most in an electric car? What are the most important features in their purchase decision? Recharging battery comes in at 52%. In other words, the battery is the most important factor, which can be inferred as range, charging speed, and charging network. Of course, the longer range a car has, the less frequently it needs to be charged. Tesla absolutely dominate the entire market with their battery technology, drivetrain, motor, and software that no one else is coming close to. The next most important factor was cost at 41%. Again, Tesla is the lowest cost EV relative to range, and as soon as the Model 2 comes out, it's the cheapest EV in the market, save a few Chinese go-kart death traps that you can barely classify as a real car. This is what EV consumers are looking for, an EV that has good range, they can charge easily, and is the best value. This is 90% of what is important to consumers, and this is literally what Tesla specialize in and how they've separated themselves from the competition. Then at 5% we have driving experience. Oh right, and even though Tesla wins hands down on the 2 major factors, the experience of driving a Tesla is something else. I mean, it literally is just that, an experience, especially when you use the likes of autopilot and FSD, or even fart mode. It's a computer on wheels. They also sit on the road so well, they're brilliant cars to drive on top of everything else. And then we have the last factor, aesthetics, at 2%. Okay, design is somewhat subjective, but I think Teslas look great too. But aesthetics is what all the legacy autos are trying to compete on, which is absolutely hilarious now I hear this. All these people who are telling me that the Ford F-150 will destroy Tesla because it looks like a real truck, and I don't know the truck industry. Well, it would seem I know the EV industry, and it would appear that only 2% actually care about how it looks. Of course, I believe the Cybertruck also looks a million times better than any traditional pickup truck. It just looks like the future. If you can't see it yet, then don't worry, perhaps it just takes a bit longer for some people's eyes to adjust. I mean, not everyone liked Coco Chanel's line of clothes either when she first launched. But those designs from back then are still in fashion today. She created a timeless design, just as I believe Tesla has too. Hence why they don't intend on ever changing the shapes of their cars. Anyway, the consumer verdict is out as to what is important to them when they buy an EV. Of course, all these legacy EV companies promoting their new EVs simply attracts more customers to Tesla. For example, Audi release a new EV, and then the Audi customers consider an EV, but it's an expensive purchase, so they first decide to compare it to the competition, namely Tesla, and of course end up ordering a Tesla for all these reasons. Legacy autos just can't win. And then we look at what brands are the most popular talked about when it comes to EVs. Obviously, no surprise that Tesla is talked about nearly 3 times as much as the next brand. Remember, all these other brands are likely only being talked about because of their advertising and all the other publicity they indirectly pay for. Tesla has reached 1/3 of the exposure at no cost in promoting their brand. Volkswagen coming in second at 12%, which isn't too surprising, as Herbert Diess has been very vocal on talking about Volkswagen making the transition to EVs. But apparently a lot of Volkswagen publicity was actually due to the failed April Fool's joke of when Volkswagen changed their name to Volkswagen. But it was actually people talking negatively about this incident. In other words, Tesla is that much further ahead in reality. And then coming in third was BMW at just 7%. This could loosely be interpreted as if right now all these companies were able to offer EVs with equal specification and features, then this would possibly be an accurate market share of what they would achieve. And again, the other dozen would have obtained their share from manipulative advertising. For example, it was GM's Hummer release that created the majority of their exposure too. As for top personalities in EV conversations, including automaker CEOs, well, I should say automaker CEO, as there is only one, Elon Musk comes in second, after the President of the United States. Biden's infrastructure plan obviously gets a lot of coverage, but no other automaker CEOs even enter the list. And as for the other automotive CEOs, again, Elon absolutely dominates being talked about, over 3 times as much as all the other CEOs combined. And coming in second is Volkswagen's Herbert Diess, as he has been outspoken about Volkswagen's EV transition. I've left a link to the report in the description below for anyone who wants to see it. But, I mean, it's not even open for debate anymore. The future of transport is electric. Plain and simple. And which EV company is going to dominate the industry? Tesla. Why Tesla over all the other couple of dozen or so brands that offer 10 times as many different models and variety of car? Well, aside from Tesla being that much more superior, in the end, it simply comes down to one thing: battery supply. All EVs need batteries. Tesla controls that many more batteries and has plans for enormous battery production and supply in the works, starting from extracting the raw materials from the earth right to the finished product in their own factories. No one else comes close. If you want to know future market share of EVs, then gigawatt hours of batteries they control will be the most accurate indicator. Tesla may even still struggle to make enough cars to keep up with demand, especially when their cars keep getting more amazing features, not to mention FSD coming into fruition eventually, along with now what we can see the growing and growing demand for EVs, and then Tesla's $25,000 entry-level Model 2. We could end up seeing 2 or more year waiting lists, and the used market for Teslas costing maybe 50% more than if you bought them new. This means the competition have a chance of getting EV sales. People may end up buying the legacy auto companies' EVs just out of frustration of having to wait so long for a Tesla. This in no way means that the legacy automakers have a chance of transitioning, it just means that people might possibly buy their EVs. It would still be a small market share of the industry, as their battery supply would still be dwarfed by Tesla's. But as for the legacy automakers, getting people to buy their inferior EVs was only about 10% of the problem they're facing with the transition anyway. This in no way means they will transition. The more and more I run through any scenario with them, the less likely I see them having a chance of making it through. Anyway, I just thought this was an interesting enough report to share with you all. So thanks for listening, please hit the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.